Welcome. Today I'm going to show you the top 5 tools that any card maker would love in their arsenal. I am so excited to share these. These are tools that I use in my crafting on a constant basis. And these are the tools that I would not want to live without. So let's get started. So the first crafter thing that I think any crafter needs, the gift, this is the Mega Ultimate Surprise. This is the most expensive of the craft supplies I'm going to show you, is this Gemini Jr. It embosses paper for the crafter, but if they use dies to cut things with, so for example I have die frames here, but they may have dies to cut leaves and flowers, letters, words, all sorts of things. There's all sorts of dies. You normally would have a machine where you'd have to hand crank it through, and sometimes it's difficult and it pops back at you. So I highly recommend this machine. It has changed my life, and I got this as a Christmas gift. So I just highly recommend it. And it comes with 2 of these clear plates. You can see mine's well loved. I have taped this together based on Jennifer McGuire's recommendations, but I have a clear plate. Under there is the magnetic plate, and then there is a plastic shim that goes on there. So I'm going to show you how this works. I put the frame down, and this is 100-pound cardstock, and then I put this clear plate on, and I'm going to turn on the machine, and it is just going to run this through the machine, and it is going to do the cutting for your crafter. And I'm going to pull this back so you can see it. It comes out. They can just grab it, take it off, and now they have a frame that they can use for their card here. I don't know if you can see that well. I'll put it like this. And then also, let's die cut this frame to use on a card. So this is a great thing, Gemini Jr., if you really want to surprise your crafter. Let's move on to the next item. The next product on my list is the Holtz Studios Cutting Mat. And I love this mat. It's a glass media mat. It's not a cutting mat. I'm sorry. And this mat is great because if you want to measure the size of something, it gives you the measurements along the sides and down at the bottom for the crafter. But what I love about this is you can put textured paste, distressed inks down on this mat to be able to do different techniques. And then when you put something down on the mat, like for example, when you put ink down on the mat and you've used the ink for whatever technique you want, and I'm just going to kind of do a smooshing technique here, it just easily wipes off. If you get adhesive on your mat, it just easily wipes off. It allows you to do watercoloring on here. You have these different blocks to put down different colors. It is a great workspace tool that also protects your desk from your inks. So this is another great item. They have one in a traveling size. They have one for the right-handed crafter, one for the left-handed crafter. I'm going to link all that below. But this would be another great surprise under the Christmas tree for your crafter in your life. The next item I would like to show you for the crafter in your life, especially your card makers, this is a great cutting tool. It allows you to cut paper that's 100 pounds, and when you cut it, I'm not sure if you can see this, you won't get a frayed edge. This was cut with another cutter and you get a frayed edge, and I'm not exactly sure how to show you the frayed edge, but it doesn't look very good. This allows you to move your cardstock over to the 5.5 mark, which is what most cards are made at, and you can just easily cut it. Or it has dotted lines for the 4.5 mark, and you can just easily cut that. But I'm just going to show you how just it cuts like butter, and you just come out with this smooth edge, where this is a frayed edge with a cutter. That's great for 65-pound paper, but once you get up to 100, 120, 130, which is what most crafters are using now, this is the tool to use for cutting your paper for your cards. So this is my next recommendation. It's also linked below, so you can easily find it. I love it. It also allows me to cut out strips of paper to do projects and to do them quickly. So I just highly recommend this tool, and you can cut out different strips in different sizes. It's a great tool to have, and I think that any crafter would be surprised to find this, which is at a very good price point, under the tree. The next tool I highly recommend is the Misti. The Misti is a stamping tool that scrapbookers as well as card makers can use. They have a mini one, and this is the original, and they have a new version of the original with laser etched edges, as well as a place to hold your magnet. And they have a 12 by 12, which is great for the scrapbooker that wants to incorporate their stamps into the scrapbooking. So I'll link all those below, but I want to show you what you're getting your crafter. First, we're going to stamp the word Christmas up here. And if we were making a Christmas card or lots of cards, we may want to stamp a lot. It allows me to line my stamp up where I want it on the card. I can ink up the stamp, and then I can stamp it. If it doesn't come out good, like it does not come out very well here, let me try to focus in so you can see. If it doesn't come out very good, then you can just stamp it again, and you get a nice, clean, crisp stamp. So it helps the card maker be able to restamp an image if it doesn't come out correctly. It can be used with clear stamps. It can also be used with stamps that are cling stamps. So if you want it to cling stamp something or stamp multiple images and do lots of cards using the same image, you can put your image onto the base, and then you can stamp the image. And see, I don't like how light this image came in, so I'll just stamp it again. And to me, that looks like a better stamped image. So it also works with your cling stamps. Now, another thing that you can do with this Misti that I absolutely love is when a stamper has flowers or other stamps that layer on top of each other, this can be used for that technique. So first, you will take your first stamp and put it down. I'll pull this out. Right, we're going to put that down for the stamping. And I'll go ahead and take out the layers for this. I'm just going to do a two-layer stamp here so you can see. So I've decided this is where I want my stamp. It will go up onto my cardstock, and then I'm going to stamp this in a very light color for my first technique. So I just have these little stamps here, and I'm going to ink this up really good. And I will push that down. So I don't totally like how that came out, so I'm going to ink this up again. I don't have a large stamp pad of this color, I just have the small ones. But the great thing about the Misti is I can go ahead and restamp what I don't like. So I really want some more color in the middle, so I'm just going to press down really good. Alright, so I like that. So now I will just wipe off this stamp, and then I'm going to put the layering stamp over top. So I pulled off the layering stamp, and I'm going to position the layering stamp where I want it. So this is how I want this layering stamp down. And now I'm going to use a darker color. I'll pick this stamp up. I will layer down this darker color to make this flower. And believe me, we're doing this because I have these little tiny cubes, but I think they're great, especially when you're trying out a new company, to get the little cubes and see how much you like the ink. Alright, so you see it allows me to layer those stamps, and so then you can actually add on this with this stamp set another layer. But this is another technique that can be used with the Misti, and this is a highly recommended tool by me. If you had to get anything on the list, this would be the thing to get. So the last tool in my arsenal that I think is a great gift are these Cutter Bee scissors. I use these all the time. I have a pink pair and a yellow pair, and I've probably had them a good 6 or 7 years. I don't always want to buy the dies that go with the stamp sets to cut things out, or there may be stamp sets like this one that doesn't have a die, but I want to cut it out. So I think it works great, and I'll just show you how they work to get in and cut things out. So it gets into these little corners to cut out your images, and you can go around. So I'm just going to cut him out, and it'll curve in. They work really well. I love these scissors. I know there's other types on the market, but these have just been wonderful. They're at a great price point. They last a long time, and you know, a lot of times as crafters we like to take things, cut them out, pop them up on our cards, just give it that extra dimension. So I highly recommend these scissors, because you can see for die cutting I didn't have to have a die. He didn't come with a die. But he just cuts out perfectly smooth. And I have just made 60 Christmas cards using the scissors, and I have cut out for each card, I've cut out several images for each card, probably 5 or 6 times 60. So just say I've cut out 6 images for each card. That's 360 images that I have cut out. So I highly recommend these scissors, either color, and I'll link that below too. But these are the 5 tools that I think any crafter would love for Christmas. So thank you for stopping by. Check out my video next time where I'll go over great stocking stuffers for your crafter.